The Secret School of Merlin, the 13th Flame. The Secret School of Merlin, the 13th Flame. Chapter 1. The auras stir, Lena's POV. The beeping was white noise now, a pulse Lena Caro had learned to ignore after 3 years in the trauma ward. The Royal London Hospital's ICU was a symphony of machines. Ventilators hissing, monitors chirping, the occasional sob muffled behind curtains. At 2:43 a.m., the air smelled of antiseptic and exhaustion, rain hammering the windows like a restless god. Lena adjusted her scrubs, the fabric stiff against her skin, and checked the chart for bed 6. Male, 47, car accident, critical. Nothing new. What was new was the light. She'd always seen them, auras shimmering around people like halos of mood. A nurse's fatigue glowed dull gray. A lover's touch sparked gold. She'd never told anyone. Compassion, fatigue, she'd told herself. Or maybe she was just broken, seeing things that weren't there. But the man in bed 6 wasn't shimmering. His aura was cracking, golden threads fraying like a torn tapestry, leaking into the air like smoke from a dying fire. Lena's breath caught. "You're tired, just tired." She turned to grab a saline flush from the cart, her sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. The clock blinked 2:43 in red. She reached for the syringe, and the room blinked. Darkness, then light. The fluorescent bulbs flickered once, twice, then held. The clock was still 2:43. The rain stopped, not fading, but pausing, droplets frozen against the glass. Lena's pulse thudded in her ears. The golden thread from the man's chest thickened, trembling like a live wire, then split. A seam tore open in the air above his bed, not in the wall, but in reality itself, like a sleeping bag unzipped to reveal a night sky. Stars spiraled inside, not cosmic but alive, stained glass constellations pulsing with intent. "This isn't real. I'm having a breakdown." Lena backed away, knocking into the IV stand. It didn't fall. It didn't move. Time didn't either. The man's monitors flatlined, silent, peaceful. But Lena couldn't look away from the portal. It widened, and something looked back. A figure, too tall, too still, with eyes like distant moons, not glowing but deep, seeing through her skin to the marrow of her bones. It reached out, not with a hand, but a ripple, a pulse that hit her chest like a memory waking up. Warm, familiar, like a part of her, buried under ribs and regret, had opened its eyes. "Lena Caro," a voice whispered, not from the air but inside her skull, resonant as a bell in a cathedral. "You are chosen." The fourth stand crashed, snapping her back. A nurse, Amara, her shift partner, sprinted in. "Lena, you all right?" Lena blinked. The portal was gone. The rain resumed, smearing the windows. The man was dead, his aura extinguished. The clock still read 2:43. Yeah, just dizzy," she lied, her voice hoarse. Amara frowned, checking Lena's pupils. "You're pale as a ghost. Go home, love. You're no good to anyone like this." Lena nodded, numb. They didn't argue when she clocked out, her hands trembling as she grabbed her bag from the locker room. The hospital's fluorescent halls felt too bright, too sharp. She unzipped her coat, and that's when she saw it. A faint blue rune glowing on her inner wrist, not ink or bruise, but water, spiraling like a wave, and a tear woven together. She touched it, and it pulsed, warm as a heartbeat. "No," she muttered, scrubbing it under the sink. The rune didn't fade. Soap and water slid over it like it was part of her skin. She glanced at the locker room mirror, and her breath stopped. The figure was there again. Moon eyes, tall as myth, framed in the glass. It held out a hand, not reaching but offering. "Step through the veil," it said, voice like rain on stone. "The world remembers your name." Lena shook her head, backing toward the door. "Nope, not doing this. I'm going home." She turned, her sneakers squeaking, but the mirror cracked, not shattered, but peeled, like reality folding open. A doorway bloomed, rimmed in silvery light, smelling of petrichor and ancient stone. A faint wind tugged at her hair, whispering of forests she'd never seen, of a home she didn't know she'd lost. She wanted to run, to call it madness. But deep inside, something shifted, a certainty, like the first time she'd revived a patient, hands steady despite the chaos. This wasn't a breakdown. This was destiny. "You were born under a broken star," the voice said, softer now. "But even broken stars burn." Lena's heart pounded. She thought of her mother, 3 years gone, a hospital bed, a missed alarm, the guilt she carried like a second skin. Maybe this was a chance to be more, to heal more than bodies. She stepped forward, hesitant, then reached into the light. It was warm, solid, gripping her back like a friend's hand. It pulled, and she fell, not downward, but inward, through water that didn't wet, through stars that weren't sky. Her body dissolved like paint in rain, not painful but revealing, as if her true self had been waiting beneath. She landed on glowing blue moss, soft as a sigh. Around her, a grove of floating stones spun lazily, each etched with runes that hummed like distant voices. Overhead, constellations swirled, forming patterns that felt like half-remembered dreams. A castle hung in the sky, suspended, spires rotating like clock hands watching her. She wasn't alone. 11 others stood in the grove, disoriented, blinking. A boy with spray paint on his hands clutched a can like a weapon. A girl in pajamas hugged herself, shivering. A tall figure with a shaved head held a notebook, eyes wide. One by one, they turned to Lena as if she were the anchor. The sky spoke, resonant and vast. 12 have been chosen. The veil remembers Lena's rune pulsed. She looked up at the castle, its runes glowing like her wrist. Fear and wonder tangled in her chest. Whatever this was, it was bigger than her guilt, her burnout, her life. It was the beginning of something she couldn't yet name. Chapter 2. Welcome to the Veil, Lena's point of view. Lena Caro stood on glowing blue moss, her sneakers sinking slightly, as if the ground were breathing. The air in the arrival grove shimmered, thick with something beyond heat. A pulse, like invisible music woven from starlight. Overhead, constellations spiraled in patterns that tugged at her memory, as if she'd dreamed them before. The castle loomed above, suspended in a sky of endless twilight, its spires rotating like clock hands, runes carved into the air glowing faintly. Her wrist pulsed where the blue rune, wave and tear entwined, had appeared, warm as a heartbeat against her skin. 11 others stood in a loose circle, strangers bound by the same impossible moment. A boy with spray paint on his hands gripped a can like a lifeline, muttering in Spanish. A girl in pajamas, barefoot, hugged herself against the warm air. A tall figure with a shaved head clutched a notebook, her knuckles white. Another in a black tunic stood unnaturally still, her eyes scanning the group with a calm that felt calculated. Lena's aura sight flickered, catching their colors. Gold for the spray paint boy, silver for the notebook girl, violet-white for the still one. Her own aura shimmered blue, trembling like water under moonlight. The castle shifted, not falling, but pivoting, as if adjusting its gaze. Runes along its base flared, weaving a bridge of light from the grove to its gates. It pulsed softly, like a vein of starfire. Lena's chest tightened, the rune on her wrist burning faintly. Is this real? She thought of the hospital, the cracked air, the moon-eyed figure. Her mother's face flashed. 3 years gone, a missed alarm. Maybe this place could make her more than her guilt. Is that safe? Lena asked, her voice small in the vast grove. A figure appeared behind her, robes stitched with stars that seemed to move. It is as safe as your soul is steady, he said. His voice was deep, resonant, like rain on ancient stone. Merlin, or what remained of him. His eyes held centuries, his form flickering like a candle seen through fog. Follow me. No one argued. The bridge was warm underfoot, solid yet soft, like sandstone kissed by sunlight. Each step sent a ripple through the light, as if it had a heartbeat. Lena walked beside a boy with dark curls and salt-stained sneakers, his aura a sky-blue swirl of waves. He glanced at her, offering a half-smile. "Koa," he said, voice low, tinged with a Hawaiian lilt. "You look as freaked out as I feel." "Lena," she replied, managing a nod. "I thought I was losing it back there." "Same. Was surfing then. Bam. Portal in the waves." He rubbed his neck, where a faint rune glowed, shaped like a curling tide. "This place feels alive." The castle loomed closer, its towers spiraling like living things. Arched windows glowed with colors that didn't exist in London's gray skies. Floating runes orbited the structure, humming softly, rearranging into patterns Lena couldn't read. The air smelled of old wood, lavender, and something sharp, like lightning before a storm. Her phone, still in her pocket, vibrated once, then crumbled to dust. She yelped, stopping short. Koa chuckled. "Guess we're off the grid now." At the platform's end, the castle responded. A circular wall peeled open, not with a creak, but a sigh, revealing a vast hall lit by crystal lanterns hovering like fireflies. Each flame flickered a different hue, blue, gold, red, violet. The walls shimmered, archways sliding into new positions, as if the hall were breathing. Lena's aura sight caught threads of energy weaving through the stone, responding to the group's presence. "It's watching us." "This is the Hall of Echoes," Merlin said, his footsteps silent, robes trailing galaxies. "Here, your past is quieted, and your potential begins." He turned, eyes sweeping the 12. "Names. Speak them aloud. The veil will answer one by one." They did. "Jaden Reyes," said the boy with a New York accent, his red aura flickering like a faulty bulb. "Priya Malhotra," a girl with long braids said, her silver aura sharp as a blade. "Koa Kahale," the surfer said, his tide rune pulsing. "Safa al-Badri," a woman in a headscarf said, her voice steady, her aura a deep black-green, heavy as earth. "Diego Ramirez," the spray paint boy said, his golden aura jagged like graffiti lines. "Lena Caro," she whispered, feeling the rune burn. 6 more followed. A girl from Berlin, Mara Klein, spoke with eerie calm, her violet-white aura still, almost too perfect. Others, Ori from Lagos, Hana from Tokyo, and more, added their voices, each name sparking a rune on the floor. Lena counted silently. 12? Or is it 13? A faint shadow flickered at the circle's edge, gone when she blinked. Merlin raised a translucent hand. "Now, the veil shall reveal your resonance." The floor blazed, a rune circle igniting with 12 points of light, plus a faint 13th glow that vanished instantly. Lena's heart skipped. No one else seemed to notice. The light lifted them, gentle as rising air, pulling a glowing thread from each chest. Lena's was blue, spiraling like her wrist rune, pooling into a circle of water at her feet. Jaden's was wild red, flickering like flame. Priya's silver thread fragmented into mirrored shards, then reassembled. Koa's formed vapor, rising, then pouring into waves. Safa's was black, with green veins, dense as soil. Diego's was golden, etched with glyphs like Aztec stone. Each thread took shape. Water, fire, air, earth, illusion, shadow. Some had dual affinities. Koa's water blended with air. Jaden's fire crackled with chaos. Mara's was strange, violet-white, silent, pulsing erratically before stilling. Merlin's eyes narrowed at it, but he said nothing. "These are your threads," Merlin said, voice slow, heavy. "They will shift. They will break. They may abandon you, but they always reflect your truth." The light faded, Lena landing softly, her water circle soaking into the stone. Her chest ached, as if something had been pulled loose. Merlin's form flickered, like a video skipping. "A girl," Hana whispered. "Did you see that?" "Yes," Mara said, arms folded, voice flat. "He's fading." Her aura didn't shift, no shock or fear. Lena's empathy caught a cold edge in her, like a locked door. The floor shifted, an archway blooming where none had been. Merlin pointed. "Follow the light to your rooms. Tomorrow, your lessons begin." His gaze lingered on Lena, and for a heartbeat she saw not an old man, but something colossal, ancient, lonely, carrying the weight of stars. He vanished, dissolving into motes of light. The group gasped, but the runes on the floor hummed, guiding them forward. Lena followed Koa down a corridor of shifting colors, walls rippling like water under moonlight. Diego trailed behind, sketching a quick glyph on his palm that sparked, then faded. "This place is nuts," he muttered, grinning. Koa nudged Lena. "You okay? You look like you saw a ghost." "More like a wizard," she said, forcing a smile. "What's with Mara?" "She's intense." Koa shrugged. "Some people are born for this." "Me? I'm just trying not to drown." His tide rune pulsed, and the corridor's wall bloomed with a faint wave pattern, as if echoing him. Lena's door appeared, marked with her blue rune. It opened without a touch, revealing a small room. A bed with silver-threaded blankets, a desk carved with spirals, a basin of water rippling without wind. The window showed constellations unknown to Earth, swirling like a dance. She sat, the rune on her wrist pulsing once. A voice, not Merlin's, echoed in her mind, soft as rain. "Sleep now, Chosen. Tomorrow you wield what you carry." Her aura shimmered blue, warm with possibility. She thought of her mother, the hospital, the guilt. Maybe here she could be more. As she drifted to sleep, the basin's water rippled, forming a faint 13th rune, a shadow that vanished before she could name it. Chapter 3. The Mirror of Memory. Lena's POV. Lena Caro awoke to silence so deep it felt like the world held its breath. Not the hospital's hum of machines, but a stillness that made her thoughts echo. Her room in the Vale Academy was small, intimate, the silver-threaded blankets soft as moonlight against her skin. The basin by her bed rippled, unprompted, as if it had watched her sleep. Her wrist pulsed where the blue rune, wave and tear entwined, glowed faintly, a reminder of the portal, the moon-eyed figure, the castle hanging in a starlit sky. She touched it, and a warmth spread, like a promise she didn't yet understand. She dressed in the navy tunic left on her chair, its silver-stitched collar catching the light of constellations beyond her window. Patterns no astronomer would know. Her aura sight flickered, catching her own blue glow, tinged with the gray of guilt. 3 years ago, she'd hesitated in a hospital hallway, missing her mother's final moments. The memory clung like damp cloth. Maybe here, in this impossible place, she could be more than her mistakes. The corridor outside her room shimmered, walls rippling like water under moonlight. Threads of colored light guided the 12 chosen. Blue for her, gold for Diego, silver for Priya. They converged at an arched doorway of pure obsidian, its surface pulsing like a heartbeat. Runes above it rearranged into words Lena could read. What you bury shall rise. Her chest tightened, the door sighed open. The mirror room was round, its domed ceiling carved from black stone that seemed to breathe. A massive mirror, 10 feet tall, rimmed in silver, floated above the floor, its surface shimmering like smoke and water, not glass. A woman stood beside it, her skin dark as midnight, eyes sharp as quartz, robes stitched with crescent moons and moth wings. Her presence was quiet but heavy, like a storm waiting to break. "I am Lady Sukmani," she said, voice soft yet carrying, laced with an accent Lena couldn't place. Perhaps Indian, perhaps older than borders. Instructor of illusion and shadow. Today, you face the first gate. The veil grants no power freely. You must look into the mirror, not as you wish to be, but as you are. It will show the moment that shaped your shadow. Murmurs rippled. Jaden, arms crossed, stood at the back, his red aura flickering like a dying ember. Safa's black-green aura was still, heavy. Koa shifted, his sky-blue glow restless. Mara, the girl from Berlin, stood too calm, her violet-white aura unreadable. Lena's empathy caught a cold edge in her, like a locked door. "Do not look away," Sukmani continued, circling the mirror. "Do not deny it. If you do, it will hunt you until you face it again." Her eyes lingered on Jaden, then Lena. Who will go first? Silence pressed down. Lena's heart raced, her mother's face flashing. Hospital bed, missed alarm. She wanted to step forward, but her feet felt rooted. Priya moved first, her silver aura sharpening. "I'll go," she said, voice steady but soft, her braids swaying as she approached. The mirror shimmered, her reflection fading. A scene bloomed, a Mumbai temple, incense thick in the air, bells chiming. A younger Priya, maybe 10, stood trembling before elders, wrists bound with red thread and bells. A ritual. Shadows moved in her eyes, not hers, but something else, ancient and hungry. A scream tore through the vision. The young Priya collapsed, bells ringing chaotically. The real Priya stood taller, her voice a whisper. "It wasn't me. It never owned me." The mirror flared, shattering into floating shards that sank into her skin like starlight. Her rune glowed brighter, silver threads weaving through her aura. Sukmani nodded. Accepted. Lena's breath caught. The room buzzed with awe and fear. Diego whistled softly. "That's some heavy stuff," he muttered, his golden aura sparking like graffiti lines. Others followed. Ori, from Lagos, faced a riverbank where his twin drowned, his sobs shaking the room. He didn't look away, his earth rune pulsing as the mirror accepted him. Hana, from Tokyo, saw herself stealing her grandmother's memories to avoid grief, laughing through tears as her shadow rune flared. Each memory was raw, visceral, the air thick with shared pain. Sukmani's gaze fell on Lena. "Your turn." Lena's legs trembled as she approached. The mirror rippled, then showed a hospital hallway 3 years ago. Her mother's name on a clipboard. The alarm she ignored, thinking another nurse would handle it. By the time she reached the room, it was too late. The mirror didn't lie. It showed her hesitation, the seconds she wasted, the flat lines wail. Her aura dimmed, gray swallowing blue. "I didn't know it was her," Lena whispered, voice breaking. The mirror stayed silent. "I didn't know—" Her reflection stepped forward, emerging from the vision. It grabbed her wrist, cold and real. The room vanished. Lena stood in the memory, antiseptic stinging her nose, monitors beeping. Her mirror self glared, eyes like her mother's. "You left me. You think you can be a healer? A mage? You can't even forgive yourself." Lena's chest crushed inward, guilt choking her. "I don't want to change the past," she said, barely audible. "I just want to stop running." The figure paused, then smiled, sad, forgiving. The hallway faded. Lena gasped back in the mirror room, knees buckling. Koa caught her, his tide rune pulsing. "You're okay," he said, voice soft as waves. The mirror bloomed into water, a gentle wave rippling outward. Her rune glowed brighter. Sukmani raised an eyebrow. "Accepted." Lena breathed, the guilt still there but lighter, like a stone smoothed by a river. She glanced at Koa, his aura steadying hers. "Thanks," she whispered. Jaden went last. His red aura flared as he faced the mirror, jaw clenched. It showed a cramped apartment, a girl, his sister, overdosing on the floor. He stood frozen in the vision, watching, not moving. The real Jaden didn't speak, his fists tight. Then, without warning, he punched the mirror. It cracked but held, a shard slicing his arm. Blood dripped, his rune dimming. Sukmani's voice cut sharp. "If you cannot face your past, it will cut you." Jaden glared, blood staining the floor. "I don't need magic. I need control." He stormed out, leaving silence in his wake. As the group left, Diego nudged Lena. "Dude's got issues, but who doesn't?" His grin was warm, his golden aura sparking. Koa chuckled, tossing an apple-like fruit from the arena tree between his hands. "Bet he'll be back." Fire types are stubborn. Priya joined them, her silver pendant glowing faintly. "That mirror, it's like it knows us better than we do," she said, voice soft. Safa nodded, her black-green aura heavy. "It's not just memory. It's truth." Mara lingered behind, her violet-white aura still. Lena's empathy caught a flicker, something cold, calculating. "She didn't go," Lena murmured to Koa. He frowned, glancing back. "Yeah, weird." The corridor hummed as they returned to their rooms, runes flickering on the walls. Lena touched her chest, feeling a shift. Not just guilt, but possibility. The mirror had shown her truth, and she'd faced it. Ahead, Jaden walked alone, his aura a flickering ember. In the mirror room, the cracked glass shimmered faintly, reflecting a shadow that wasn't there. A 13th rune, pulsing once before fading. Chapter 4. The Circle Watches, Diego's point of view. Diego Ramirez crouched in the corner of the common hall, the enchanted charcoal in his hand humming like a live wire. The Vale Academy's stone floor was cool beneath his knees, but it whispered back as if the castle itself was curious. Back in Mexico City, life was loud. Street vendors shouting, murals bursting with color, the hum of traffic and spray cans. Here, everything was quiet, shimmering, alive. The air smelled of cedar, ozone, and something ancient, like the breath of gods. Diego missed his spray cans, the hiss of paint hitting a wall, but this charcoal, given by a runes instructor made of glass and voice, was something else entirely. His task was simple: draw his ancestral mark. His hand moved on instinct, tracing jagged lines into the stone. A serpent emerged, geometric and sharp, its scales etched like Aztec glyphs, a sun caught in its mouth. He didn't remember learning it, but his fingers knew the shape, like his abuela's stories of Quetzalcoatl whispering through his blood. The charcoal glowed, and the sigil pulsed. The wall breathed. The serpent blinked. Then it slithered free, coiling up Diego's arm like a living tattoo. Its eyes, gold as molten sun, met his. It hissed, not a threat, but a question like, "You ready for this, mijo?" Diego grinned, heart racing. Abuela would lose her mind right now. "Whoa," Koa said, approaching with a half-eaten apple-like fruit that shimmered silver. His sky-blue aura swirled like waves, his tied rune glowing faintly on his neck. "Is that moving?" The serpent dissolved into golden dust, sinking back into Diego's skin. "Yeah," he said, wiping charcoal on his jeans. "Think it likes me?" Koa smirked, his Hawaiian lilt warm. "Not just the snake. You looked alive, drawing it." Diego rolled his eyes, cheeks heating. "Whatever, surf boy." He glanced around the common hall where the 12 chosen lounged or practiced. Lena sat cross-legged, her blue aura soft, sketching water-like runes in the air. Priya, braids swaying, read a glowing scroll, her silver aura sharp. Safa meditated by a window, her black-green aura heavy as earth. Jaden stood alone, scratching angular lines into the floor, his red aura flickering like a faulty bulb. Mara, the girl from Berlin, watched him, her violet-white aura too still, like a paused video. The hall shifted, an archway blooming to reveal the sigil practice chamber. Emrys, a guardian in residence, with a scarred face and steady voice, stood before a floating obsidian slab. His aura was a muted gold, like Diego's, but heavier. "Runic energy and sigil warding," he announced. "Your marks are not just art. They're intent, shaped by ancestry, faith, or memory. The veil honors them all." He waved a hand, and symbols flashed on the slab. Maori spirals, Celtic knots, Arabic calligraphy, binary code, then vanished. "You'll learn your own sigils and how others shape the world," Emrys said. "Draw a ward to protect, not just yourself, but the group." Diego's fingers itched. He stepped forward, charcoal ready. Lena leaned in, whispering to Priya, "Think he'll draw another snake?" Priya smiled faintly. "Hope it doesn't bite." Diego traced a new sigil, a shield of interlocking glyphs, inspired by Aztec sunstones. It glowed gold, pulsing with warmth, and a faint barrier shimmered around the group. Koa clapped. "Nice one, mural guy." Safa tried next, her fingers tracing Egyptian ankh-like runes. The air thickened, a whisper of her grandmother's voice echoing from the stone. "Protect the blood," it said, and her aura flared, green veins pulsing. She stepped back, eyes wide. That was... Her Lena hesitated, her blue rune trembling. "I don't know my lineage," she admitted. Emrys nodded. "Then draw from your heart." Her ward was shaky, water-like, but it held, shimmering like a bubble. Mara's turn was flawless, too flawless. Her violet-white sigil, a sharp spiral, locked into place instantly. But Diego's aura sight caught a flicker, like it hid a second layer. She met his gaze, her expression unreadable. "What's her deal?" he thought. Jaden went last. His rune was angular, chaotic, like code scratched in haste. He'd been up all night, Diego noticed, hacking at sigils like they were a puzzle to solve. The lines flared red, too fast. A piercing whistle filled the chamber. The floor buckled, cracks spiderwebbing outward. Diego grabbed Koa, pulling him back as the sigil screamed, then burned away in a flash of heat. Merlin appeared, silent and sudden, robes trailing stars. His form flickered, like a glitch in reality. "Who drew this?" he demanded, voice cold. Jaden froze, his aura dimming. It wasn't finished, just an idea." Merlin raised a hand. A ghostly sigil hovered, rotating slowly, angular, wrong, not like the others. "This is not a guardian's mark," he said. "This is a hollow glyph." Gasps rippled. Safa's eyes widened. Priya clutched her scroll. Diego whispered to Koa, "What's the hollow circle?" "They kill magic," Koa said, voice low. "They hate the veil." Merlin's gaze bore into Jaden. "Where did you learn this?" "I don't know," Jaden muttered, fists clenched. "I saw it, in my head. A dream." Maybe Merlin's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing, dismissing the group with a wave. The chamber's walls hummed, runes shifting uneasily, as if the castle itself was unsettled. Later, Diego found Koa by a glowing fountain in the common hall, tossing silver fruit between his hands. "Your sigil was dope," Diego said, sketching a quick glyph in the air that sparked, then faded. "Mine felt like home." "You?" Koa sighed, his tide rune dim. "Tried a wave shield. Collapsed. Like I'm not..." "Enough." His aura swirled, restless, tinged with grief. "Maybe it's not about being enough," Diego said, echoing their earlier talk. "Maybe it's about letting it flow. Like art. You don't force a mural. You let the wall speak." Koa raised an eyebrow, smiling faintly. "You're weirdly wise for a guy with paint on his jeans." "Graffiti's got layers, man," Diego laughed, nudging him. Across the hall, Lena approached Jaden, who sat alone, staring at his bandaged hand. From the mirror incident. "You okay?" she asked, her blue aura soft. "Fine," Jaden snapped, his red glow flickering. "Just need to figure this out." Lena hesitated. "That glyph, it didn't feel like you." He didn't answer, but his aura dimmed further. Mara watched from a corner, her violet-white glow steady. Diego's empathy caught a cold edge, like she was waiting for something. She caught his stare and smiled. Too perfect, too sharp. A rune on the wall flickered, a shadow passing over it, shaped like a 13th point in the circle. Gone when he blinked. That night, Safa sat alone in her room, a candle flickering. She whispered an Egyptian chant, seeking her grandmother's voice. The flame turned black for a moment, then clear. A voice, not her grandmother's, whispered from the shadows. "They walk among you." Safa's aura flared, her rune pulsing. She didn't sleep. Chapter 5. Trial by Element. Koa's point of view. Koa Kahale stood at the edge of the circle of stone, his bare feet sinking into moss that glowed faintly emerald, as if the Vale Academy's arena pulsed with life. The open-air ring was carved into a cliffside, surrounded by trees with silver leaves that swayed without wind. Above, constellations spun lazily in a morning sky that defied Earth's rules, their patterns whispering secrets Koa couldn't grasp. His tide rune, a curling wave on his neck, pulsed faintly, but his chest felt hollow. Water was in his blood. His Hawaiian ancestors had sailed by stars, shaped waves with chants. But here, it didn't trust him. He rolled his shoulders, trying to shake the weight of his grandmother's funeral, the chant he hadn't sung, the ocean that had carried her ashes away. The arena hummed, runes etched into its stones, flaring with each breath of the 12 chosen. Koa's sky-blue aura swirled restlessly, reflecting his unease. Across the ring, Diego stretched, his golden aura sparking like graffiti lines. Lena stood nearby, her blue aura soft but steady, her water rune glowing on her wrist. Priya's silver aura shimmered, sharp as her braids. Safa's black-green aura was heavy, like earth after rain. Jaden lingered at the back, his red aura flickering, still shaken from the hollow glyph incident. Mara, as always, was too still, her violet-white aura unreadable, her eyes scanning the group like a predator's. Emrys, the scarred guardian in residence, stood in the center, his gold aura muted but steady. His carved staff pulsed with energy, a storm cloud materializing. Overhead, rumbling softly. "Trial by element," he announced, voice echoing like distant thunder. "You will not fight to win, but to reveal. Magic answers emotion. Shape your element by facing what holds it back." 4 glowing glyphs, water, fire, air, earth, floated around him, pulsing in rhythm with the group's breaths. Strands of living light wove through the air, pairing the chosen for duels. Lena with Mara, Priya with Safa, Jaden with Ori, a quiet boy from Lagos whose earth rune glowed steady, and Koa. The light circled back, choosing Diego. Koa glanced at him, managing a half-smile. Diego raised his eyebrows, his grin warm. "Guess we're making the air crackle, brada," he said, mimicking Koa's Hawaiian slang. Koa chuckled, tension easing. "Don't cry when I drown you, mural guy." A bell chimed, vibrating in Koa's chest. Their platform floated forward, separating from the others, a glowing dome rising to seal them in. Runes ignited beneath their feet, the moss pulsing like a heartbeat. Diego moved first, tracing a sigil with 2 fingers. Golden lines shaped a jaguar's head, inspired by Aztec myths of Tezcatlipoca, leaping from his hand to land between them, translucent and snarling, made of ink and light. Koa raised his arms, the air thickening. Moisture beaded from the moss, swirling into a ring around his chest. He launched a blade of water at the jaguar, sharp as a spear. It passed through, hissing, the creature unfazed. Diego frowned. He's not fighting back. Koa lowered his arms, the water collapsing into droplets like rain. "I'm not angry," he admitted, voice low. "I'm tired." His aura dimmed, the tide rune flickering. He saw his grandmother's lay floating on the ocean, his silence at her funeral, the weight of a culture he'd left behind in Maui. Emrys's voice cut through the dome. "This is not about force. It's about resonance. Find it." Koa closed his eyes, breathing deep. He heard the waves of home, the chants his grandmother taught him, "Eho mai ika ike," grant me insight. The air hummed and a memory surfaced, her voice strong as the tide, singing to Kanaloa, god of the sea. He opened his hands, whispering the chant. Water rose behind him, not sharp but steady, a living memory of her strength. It coiled into a serpent, scales shimmering like moonlight on waves, wrapping gently around his arm. Diego's eyes widened, his jaguar stepping back. "Now that's a painting," he said, voice soft with awe. The serpent and jaguar circled each other, not clashing but harmonizing, their auras blending, gold and sky blue, into a fleeting rainbow. Emrys nodded from outside the dome. "Accepted." The barrier dissolved, the platform returning to the ring. Koa exhaled, his rune glowing brighter, his aura steady for the first time. Diego clapped his shoulder. "Knew you had it, brada." Across the arena, other duels unfolded. Lena's water clashed with Mara's violet-white energy, sparking and steaming. Mara's spells were precise, almost mechanical, her aura never wavering. Lena faltered, her water trembling, but she held her ground, whispering something that calmed the clash. Priya's illusions reflected Safa's necromantic shadows, which spoke in an ancient Egyptian voice. Safa's grandmother, stern and proud. Priya flinched, her silver aura dimming, but she countered with a mirrored shield, holding firm. Jaden's fire flared bright but wild, nearly singeing Ori, whose earth rune anchored a stone barrier. "I can't control it," Jaden muttered, shutting it down. Ori's voice was soft, steady. "You don't have to. Just listen." His calm, unsettled Jaden, whose aura flickered like a dying ember. The trials ended, the group gathering under the arena tree, its silver fruit glowing untouchable. Koa sat with Diego, their auras blending faintly, like sea meeting shore. Lena joined them, her water rune still shimmering. "That was intense," she said, voice shaky but warm. "Mara's different. Her magic feels cold." Koa nodded, glancing at Mara, who sharpened a glass dagger across the courtyard, her violet-white aura too still. "Like she's hiding something," he murmured. Diego sketched a quick glyph on his palm, sparking gold. "Bet she's just intense. Like Jaden, but less explodey." He grinned, but his eyes lingered on Mara, catching a flicker in her aura, a shadow, gone when he blinked. Priya sat nearby, her silver pendant glowing from the lake lesson. The shadows Safa summoned. "They knew things," she said, voice soft. "Like they've been watching us." Safa approached, her black-green aura heavy. "They're not just shadows," she said. "They're her. My grandmother. She warned me. Someone's not what they seem." The group fell silent, their runes pulsing faintly. Jaden sat alone, hands trembling, his fire rune dim. Koa watched him, remembering his own struggle. "He'll get there," he said to Diego. "Fire's like water. Needs trust, not force." Diego nodded. "Like art, yeah?" "You let the wall speak," Koa smiled, the first reel. "One since arriving." "Exactly." That night, Lena found a note on her bed, written in glowing ink that faded as she read. "The hollow circle leaves no mark, but it watches." Her basin turned red for a moment, then clear. Across the hall, Mara sat alone, her dagger reflecting a 13th rune in the glass, a shadow that vanished before she could name it. Chapter 6. The Water's Memory, Priya's POV. Priya Malhotra stood at the edge of the lake of echoes, its glass-smooth surface reflecting a moon that wasn't Earth's. The Vale Academy's western grove was bathed in silver light, trees with leaves like spun glass rustling in a breeze that carried the scent of monsoon rain and old stone. Her silver rune, a spiral of mirrored shards on her wrist, pulsed faintly, echoing the pendant she'd earned in the lake's depths, a glowing lotus that felt like a piece of her heart. Water had always called to her, monsoon rains on her childhood home's tin roof in Mumbai, her mother's stories of river mystics. But this lake was different. It remembered, and tonight it would see her. The 12 chosen gathered around the lake, their auras flickering in the twilight. Lena's soft blue, Koa's sky blue waves, Diego's golden sparks, Safa's heavy black-green, Jaden's flickering red. Mara stood apart, her violet-white aura too still, like a held breath. Emrys, the scarred guardian in residence, lingered near Merlin, his muted gold aura restless. The castle loomed in the distance, its spires twisting like living things, constellations above, spinning in patterns that tugged at Priya's memory, as if she'd dreamed them as a child. Merlin stepped forward, his starry robes flickering like a dying signal. "This is the Lake of Echoes," he said, voice resonant as thunder over water. "Water holds memory of moments, magic, pain. Today you'll read it, speak to it, let it show you what it knows." His eyes, heavy with centuries, swept the group. "The lake will choose who enters first." The surface rippled, then stilled. Priya's reflection shimmered and smiled, not her face, but her soul, young and unguarded. Her rune pulsed, warm as a monsoon's first drop. She stepped forward, heart racing. Lena whispered to Koa, "Is she sure?" Koa nodded, his tide rune glowing. "She's got this." Priya waded in, the water parting like silk, neither cold nor warm, but aware, wrapping her like a mother's embrace. It reached her shoulders, and visions bloomed, not from her eyes, but the lake's. She saw herself at 6 reading under a blanket with a flashlight, the Ramayana's tales of illusion sparking her dreams. Her mother brushing her hair, humming a raga. Her first magic, a teacup dancing in her palm. Her cousins laughing in awe. Then darker ripples came. Being mocked for being too quiet at school, her voice lost in the noise. A teacher dismissing her as dreamy. A rejection letter from the Academy of the South, her father's disappointed sigh. The temple ritual from the mirror room returned. Elders chanting, bells on her wrists, a shadow in her eyes that wasn't hers. She'd been 10, trembling as something ancient tried to claim her. The lake held it all, not judging but asking, "Do you accept this?" Priya breathed deep, the air thick with petrichor. "I accept you," she whispered, voice steady. "All of you." The lake calmed, and from its center a glowing lotus bloomed, silver as her aura. She reached out and it dissolved into her palm, merging with her pendant. Her rune flared, threads of illusion weaving through her fingers, sharp and alive. She stepped onto the shore, dripping but whole, her aura brighter. Lena clapped softly, her blue eyes warm. "That was beautiful," she said. Diego grinned, sketching a quick glyph that sparked gold. "You made that lake your canvas, Priya." Merlin's gaze lingered on her, approving but heavy. "The lake is different for everyone," he said. "Next." Jaden went next, reckless as ever. He stormed into the water, his red aura flaring. The lake froze around him, ice cracking under his heat spell. He cursed, flames licking his hands, but the water rose in a towering wave, drenching him. Merlin shook his head. Water does not obey. It listens. Jaden stomped out, soaked and furious, his rune dimming. Koa nudged Diego. "Told you." Fire types are stubborn. Safa waded in, her black-green aura heavy. The water turned dark, whispering in Egyptian, her grandmother's voice chanting protective rites. A shadow coiled beneath, not threatening but watchful. Safa's eyes widened, but she stood firm, murmuring, "Anubis, guide me." The water cleared, her rune glowing. She stepped out, clutching her chest as if holding the voice close. Emrys was last. The lake shimmered nervously as he knelt, touching the surface. The water turned black, a tendril of shadow slithering beneath, sharp as a blade. The group stepped back, auras flaring. Merlin raised his staff, but the shadow receded. Emrys opened his eyes, confused. I saw a tower. Chains. A voice. It knew my name. His aura pulsed, gold tinged with something darker, like ash. Priya's empathy caught a chill, like the lake had seen something forbidden. That night, the group gathered by a hearth in the common hall, flames dancing in a stone basin that shifted colors, blue, gold, red. Priya sat cross-legged, her lotus pendant glowing faintly, a reminder of her acceptance. She sipped a tea-like drink that tasted of cardamom and childhood, the veil's magic adjusting to her memories. Lena sat beside her, staring into her cup, her blue aura soft. "That lake, it's like it knows us," she said. "Yeah," Priya replied, voice quiet. "Like it's alive." She thought of the temple, the shadow that wasn't hers. She'd faced it, but it lingered, a question unanswered. Diego tossed a silver fruit to Koa, who caught it with a grin. "You should have seen Jaden," Diego said, mimicking his scowl. "Dude looked like a wet cat." Koa laughed, his tide rune glowing. "Bet he tries to burn the lake next time." Jaden sulked by the stairs, his red aura dim. Priya approached, hesitant. "You okay?" she asked, her silver aura soft. He shrugged, not meeting her eyes. "I don't need water." I need control. His bandaged hand from the mirror trembled slightly. Priya touched her pendant. Maybe it's not about control. Maybe it's about letting go. Jaden didn't reply, but his aura flickered, less angry. Mara sat alone, sharpening her glass dagger, her violet-white aura steady. Priya's empathy caught a cold edge, like a storm held back. She hadn't entered the lake. Why not? Priya wondered. Mara's gaze flicked to Emrys, who wrote in a journal, his aura still tinged with ash. A rune on the hearth flickered, a shadow passing over it. A 13th shape. Gone when Priya blinked. Merlin entered, robes damp, holding a stone bowl. He poured lake water into the flames, and images burst up, each student's memory swirling in mist and fire. Priya's dancing teacup, Lena's hospital hallway, Koa's ocean waves. "This is why we train," Merlin said, voice soft but heavy. "To understand not just the world, but ourselves." Priya smiled, feeling seen, by the lake, by the veil, by herself. But as the flames died, a shadow lingered in the embers, whispering a single word: traitor. Chapter 7. The Mirror of Truth, Safa's POV. Safa al-Badri had always kept her past locked tight, sealed behind sarcasm and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. But the Veil Academy had a way of prying open even the strongest vaults. The air in the crystal hall of reflections was cool, sharp with the scent of polished marble and something ancient, like papyrus left in the sun. The chamber, hidden deep in the castle's eastern wing, pulsed faintly, its white marble walls veined with living crystal that shimmered in time with her heartbeat. Her black-green rune, an ankh entwined with vines, glowed on her wrist, heavy as the earth, whispering memories she'd buried in Cairo years ago. The 12 chosen stood in a loose semicircle, their auras flickering in the crystalline light. Lena's soft blue, Koa's sky blue waves, Diego's golden sparks, Priya's sharp silver, Jaden's dim red. Mara lingered at the edge, her violet-white aura too still, like a desert before a storm. Emrys stood near the center, his muted gold aura tinged with ash, restless since the lake. Safa's empathy, honed by years of reading her mother's silences, caught a cold edge in Mara, like a shadow hiding a blade filly system. Blade. The Mirror of Truth loomed at the chamber's heart, a floating slab of obsidian-framed glass, 10 feet tall, its surface rippling like liquid starlight. It didn't reflect faces, only truths. Safa's stomach twisted. She'd faced her grandmother's voice in the lake, but this felt different, like the mirror could peel back her skin. Merlin appeared, his starry robes flickering like a dying flame. "This mirror shows not your face, but your truth," he said, voice heavy with centuries. "Only step forward when you're ready to be seen." His eyes, ancient and grieving, swept the group. "Who's first?" Silence gripped the room. Safa's heart pounded, her mother's stern face flashing. Hospital bed, a decision unmade. She stepped forward, her black-green aura dense as earth. "I'll go," she said, voice sharp to mask her fear. The air grew colder as she approached, her breath fogging. The mirror rippled, then stilled. Her mother's face appeared, not the lifeless figure from the hospital, but alive, stern, beautiful, tired, standing in their Cairo flat. The scene shifted. A hospital bed, monitors beeping, Safa frozen at 16, unable to choose. The ventilator stopped. Her mother's aura faded. Safa's knees buckled. She wanted to scream, to run. Instead, she whispered, "Ana Asifa." "I'm sorry," in Arabic, her voice breaking. The mirror shimmered. Now it showed Safa, eyes blazing with green fire, wings of shadow rising behind her, standing not in guilt, but in power. Whole. forgiven. A tear fell, and the mirror dimmed its surface, blooming into a black-green ankh that sank into her rune. Her aura flared, lighter, like earth after rain. Sukmani, the instructor from the mirror room, nodded from the shadows. Accepted. Lena went next. The mirror showed a battlefield, flames consuming a village. Lena trembling, hands red with inaction. She stood taller, whispering, "I'll do better." The mirror pulsed blue, accepting her. Safa's empathy caught Lena's relief, a flicker of hope. Priya faced burning books, her father's disappointed gaze, a wand she'd broken in shame. Never again, she vowed, her silver aura sharpening. The mirror glowed, approving. Emrys approached and the mirror cracked. A single eye stared back, wreathed in swirling fire. Merlin stepped in, touching the glass. "Not yet," he said, voice low. Emrys staggered back, his gold ash aura trembling. Safa's heart skipped. Something ancient had looked through him. Jaden was last. He glared at the mirror, his red aura dim from the lake's failure. It showed his sister's overdose, him frozen, useless. He turned away, muttering, "Some truths stay buried." He stormed out, his rune dark. The group filed out, the walls humming uneasily. Safa lingered, her ankh rune pulsing. Lena joined her, blue aura soft. "You okay?" she asked. Safa forced a smile. "Thought I'd feel lighter. But I'm a cracked teacup now." Lena touched her arm. Even cracked cups hold water. Her warmth eased the ache in Safa's chest. Outside, by a glowing fountain, Diego and Koa tossed silver fruit, joking. "Jaden's gonna burn the castle down one day," Diego said, sketching a sparking glyph. Koa laughed, his tide rune glowing. "Bet he tries to fist-fight the mirror next." Priya sat nearby, her lotus pendant shimmering. "The mirror? It knows too much," she said, voice soft. Safa nodded, thinking of her mother's face. "It's not just truth." It's us. Mara sat apart, sharpening her glass dagger, violet-white aura steady. Safa's empathy caught a cold flicker, like a hidden blade. "She didn't go," Safa whispered to Lena. Lena frowned. "Again? That's weird." Emrys scribbled in his journal, his aura flickering with ash. Safa watched him, remembering the cracked mirror. "What's with him?" she asked. Lena hesitated. "Something's off, like he's carrying too much." That night, Safa sat on her balcony, overlooking the training grounds. The stars spun, whispering secrets. Her candle flared black, then clear, her grandmother's voice echoing. "They walk among you." A rune flickered on the balcony's edge, a 13th shadow, gone in a blink. Chapter 8. The Fire Within, Emrys's point of view. Emrys had always felt it burning beneath his skin, a restless heat, shapeless and angry, like a fire with nowhere to go. The Vale Academy called it potential, his classmates called it intensity. To him, it was a curse, a spark that could consume him if he let it. Tonight, in the molten cavern beneath the castle, he'd face it head-on. The air grew hotter with every step down the spiral staircase, sealed behind obsidian doors carved with warnings in tongues older than time. Sweat beaded on his brow, the scent of sulfur and molten crystal sharp in his nose. His muted gold aura, tinged with ash since the Lake of Echoes, flickered like a storm-battered flame. The 12 chosen, minus Jaden, who'd refused the lesson after his lake failure, followed Merlin, his starry robes flickering like a dying star. The walls pulsed, veins of glowing crystal weaving through jagged stone as if the castle's heart beat beneath the earth. Lena's blue aura was steady, her water rune glowing softly. Koa's sky-blue waves swirled restlessly, his tide rune pulsing. Diego's golden sparks danced, his Aztec-inspired glyphs shimmering. Priya's silver aura was sharp, her lotus pendant gleaming. Safa's black-green aura was heavy, like desert earth. Mara stood too still, her violet-white aura unreadable, her glass dagger glinting at her side. Emrys's empathy, honed by years of hiding his own fire, caught a cold edge in her, like a blade buried in sand. They emerged into the molten cavern, a vast chamber where rivers of lava flowed with a heartbeat, their glow casting shadows that danced like specters. A single platform hovered above the fire, ringed with floating runes that pulsed red and gold. Merlin turned, his eyes heavy with ancient grief. "This is where the first flame was born," he said, voice resonant as a forge. "Older than wands, Atlantis, or my memory. One by one, you'll step into the ring. The flame will test you." Lena went first, stepping onto the platform with a deep breath. The runes flared, and a spiral of flame rose from the lava, circling her. Sweat glistened on her face, her breath short, but she whispered in Elvish, "Alia, Kalma." And the fire calmed, bowing like a tamed beast. She stepped off, exhausted but smiling, her blue aura brighter. "That was wild," she said, catching Koa's arm for balance. Priya followed, her silver aura sharp. The flame resisted, dancing away, distrustful. She sang softly in a forgotten Sanskrit dialect, learned from a forbidden scroll in the library. The fire leaned toward her, curious, then retreated, her lotus pendant glowing. "It listened," she whispered, stepping off. Safa's turn was heavier. Her black-green aura pulsed as she entered, the flame flaring green, whispering in Egyptian, her grandmother's voice chanting to Anubis. The lava surged, but Safa stood firm, her Ankh rune glowing. "Guide me," she murmured, and the flame softened, accepting her. Emrys stepped forward, heart pounding. The platform shook as he entered, the runes glowing white-hot. The fire didn't rise, it exploded. A vortex of heat roared to life, wild and angry, the lava below surging as if it knew him. Sweat poured down his face, teeth clenched. The flame inside him answered, not as a tool, but as a part of him, raw and unbound. He didn't control it. He became it. "I am the flame returned," he shouted, voice not his own, echoing with something ancient, colossal. The vortex formed a phoenix, massive and radiant, its wings scorching the air. The chosen gasped, their auras flaring, Lena's blue dimming, Diego's gold sparking. Mara's violet-white aura flickered just for a moment, as if startled. Merlin stepped forward, chanting a spell in a tongue like breaking stone. The phoenix dissolved, the lava calming. Emrys fell to his knees, chest heaving, his gold ash aura blazing. The room went silent, the runes dimming. Diego broke the tension, whistling. "Hombre, you just turned into a bird of fire." Respect. His grin was shaky, his aura sparking nervously. Koa nudged Lena. "That's not normal, right?" "No," she whispered, eyes wide. "Not even Merlin's that raw." Merlin knelt beside Emrys, his form flickering like a glitch. "You've been marked," he said, voice low, "by something older than this world. The flame showed a memory not yours, a voice from before time." Emrys's throat tightened. "So what do I do with it?" Merlin's eyes reflected grief. "Learn balance, or it will consume you." The group returned to the dormitory, the air heavy with whispers. Emrys sat by the hearth, staring into the flames, his aura still tinged with ash. Lena approached, her blue aura soft. "You scared us," she said, sitting beside him. "That phoenix, it was like you weren't you." "I don't know what I am," Emrys admitted, voice rough. "It's like something's waking up inside me." Diego joined them, tossing a silver fruit to Koa, who caught it with a grin. "Maybe you're a volcano," Diego said, sketching a quick glyph that sparked gold. "All fire and secrets." Koa chuckled, his tide rune glowing. "Or a fire god. You got a Hawaiian name for that, brada?" "Pele's a goddess," Emrys said, managing a faint smile. "I'm not that divine." Priya sat nearby, her lotus pendant shimmering. "That fire? It knew you," she said, voice soft. "Like the lake knew me." Safa lingered by the window, her black-green aura heavy. "It's not just knowing," she said. "It's claiming." "Be careful, Emrys." Her Ankh rune pulsed, her grandmother's warning. "They walk among you," echoing in her mind. Mara sat alone, sharpening her glass dagger, her violet-white aura steady. Emrys's empathy caught a cold flicker, like a shadow hiding a spark. She'd watched his phoenix with no awe, only calculation. A rune on the hearth flickered, a 13th shadow passing over it, gone when he blinked. That night, Lena found Emrys by the training grounds, staring at a candle flame that danced too wildly. "You're not dangerous," she said, voice firm. "You're just more." He didn't reply, but his aura softened, the ash fading slightly. Across the castle, Mara stood in her room, her dagger reflecting a faint rune, a 13th shape, pulsing with a whisper. "The spark is lit." Far beyond the veil, in a ruin of forgotten stone, robed figures gathered around a black flame. A voice spoke. "The phoenix stirs." Another replied, "The boy is waking." The wheel turns. The flame flared, and the hollow circle smiled. Chapter 9. Echoes of the Past, Emrys's point of view. Emrys felt the fire inside him simmering, a restless pulse that hadn't calmed since the molten cavern. The Vale Academy's archive of echoes, buried deep beneath the castle, was colder than the fiery depths, its air thick with the scent of ancient parchment and static, like a storm trapped in stone. The chamber's walls were carved with runes that pulsed faintly, weaving stories older than the stars above. His muted gold aura, still tinged with ash from the phoenix's awakening, flickered like a candle in a draught. The cracked mirror, the lake's shadow, Merlin's warning, they all pointed to something inside him, something he wasn't sure he wanted to know. Safa had insisted on joining him, her black-green aura heavy as desert earth, her Ankh rune glowing on her wrist. "You're not sneaking in alone," she'd said, voice sharp but warm, like a sister watching his back. Emrys didn't argue. Her necromantic whispers had steadied him since the lake, and her grandmother's warnings echoed his own unease. The other chosen were resting after the fire trial, but Safa's eyes held the same question as his. "What are we carrying?" The archive was vast, shelves of crystal tablets stretching into shadows, each humming with voices that weren't quite human. Runes floated in the air, rearranging into patterns, Celtic knots, Egyptian hieroglyphs, binary code, before dissolving. A central pedestal held a single shard, black as night, pulsing with a heartbeat. Emrys's aura flared, the ash within it stirring. Safa's hand grazed his arm. "Careful," she whispered, her voice low, tinged with a Cairo lilt. "This place feels awake." Merlin appeared, his starry robes flickering like a signal lost in static. His eyes, heavy with centuries, locked on Emrys. "The archive of echoes holds the Vale's memory," he said, voice resonant as a bell in a storm. "Tonight, you seek the past, not yours, but the world's. Touch the shard, and it will show you what it chooses." Emrys hesitated, the phoenix's heat stirring in his chest. He thought of the mirror's eye, the lake's shadow, the fire that had claimed him. Safa nodded, her ankh rune pulsing. "I've got you," she said, grounding him. He touched the shard. The world dissolved. Fire roared, not warm but cruel, consuming a city of obsidian towers. A figure stood in the flames, Kael'thar, his name a whisper in Emrys's mind. His robes were blood red, his hands dripping with liquid shadow, runes carved into his skin glowing like wounds. He chanted in a tongue that burned Emrys's ears, summoning a tide of black flame that devoured the sky. 12 figures knelt before him, their runes dimming, their screams swallowed by the blaze. A 13th stood apart, her nebula hair glowing, her voice a song that cracked the earth. The vision shifted. Kael'thar's eyes met Emrys's, not from the past but now, seeing him through time. "You are the spark," he said, voice like breaking stone. The wheel turns. Emrys staggered back, gasping, the shard cold under his fingers. Safa caught him, her aura flaring. "What did you see?" she demanded, her voice sharp with worry. "Blood magic," Emrys whispered, his aura trembling, ash swirling. "Kael'thar, he burned everything, and someone else, a woman, glowing like a star." Merlin's form flickered, his face pale. "You saw what should not be seen," he said, voice low. "Kael'thar was the Veil's first betrayer. His fire broke the world. You carry his echo." Emrys's heart pounded. "Why me?" Merlin's eyes softened, heavy with guilt. "Because the flame chose you. As it chose me, once Safa's Ankh rune pulsed, her grandmother's voice whispering through her. They walk among you." She gripped Emrys's arm. "We need to tell the others." They returned to the common hall, where the chosen gathered around a glowing hearth, its flames dancing blue and gold. Lena sat cross-legged, her blue aura soft, sketching water runes in the air. Diego tossed a silver fruit to Koa, who caught it with a grin, his tide rune glowing. Priya read a scroll, her silver aura sharp, her lotus pendant shimmering. Mara sat apart, sharpening her glass dagger, her violet-white aura steady, too still. Emrys spoke, voice rough. "I saw Kael'thar. A betrayer. He used blood magic to burn a city. And a woman. A 13th. Lena's eyes widened. 13th? There's only 12 of us. Diego frowned, sketching a quick glyph that sparked gold. "You sure it wasn't a dream, hombre? That fire got to you." Koa leaned forward, his sky-blue aura swirling. The lake showed a shadow. Maybe its connected. Priya's voice was soft, her pendant glowing. "The lake knew me. Maybe this archive knows something we don't." Safa's aura flared, heavy. "My grandmother warned me," she said. "Someone's not what they seem." Her eyes flicked to Mara, who didn't look up, her dagger glinting. Mara spoke, voice flat. "Visions lie. Or you saw what you wanted to see." Her aura didn't shift, but Emrys's empathy caught a cold edge, like a blade hidden in silk. Lena stood, her water rune glowing. "We're a team. If there's a threat, we face it together." Emrys nodded, his aura steadying, the ash fading slightly. "I don't know what I am," he said, "but I'm not him." That night, Diego found Emrys by the training grounds, staring at a candle flame that danced too wildly. "You're not a villain, Brada," Diego said, his grin warm. "You're just extra fiery." Emrys managed a smile. "Thanks, mural guy." Across the castle, Safa sat alone, whispering a chant to Anubis. Her candle flared black, then clear, her grandmother's voice echoing. The spark is lit. A rune flickered on her window, a 13th shadow, gone in a blink. Far beyond the veil, in a ruin of forgotten stone, the hollow circle gathered around a black flame. A robed figure spoke. "The boy sees." "The wheel turns," another replied. "The traitor moves." The 13th waits. The flame flared, and the ruins trembled. Chapter 10. The Broken Wards. Safa's point of view. Safa al-Badri felt the Veil Academy tremble before she heard it, a low, bone-deep hum, like the earth itself was waking in anger. She stood in the star-lit courtyard, its black stone tiles etched with constellations that pulsed faintly underfoot. The air was sharp with ozone and lotus, the castle's spires twisting overhead like living sentinels in a sky of endless twilight. Her black-green rune, an ankh entwined with vines, throbbed on her wrist, heavy as the desert earth of her Cairo childhood. Her aura, dense and shadowed, flickered with unease, her grandmother's warning echoing. They walk among you. She'd felt it all week, Mara's cold stares, Emrys's ash-tinged fire, the 13th shadow in her candle's flame. The 12 chosen were scattered across the courtyard, practicing wards after a grueling lesson on temporal ethics. Lena wove a shimmering water shield, her blue aura steady. Koa summoned waves from the air, his sky-blue aura swirling, his tide rune glowing. Diego sketched golden glyphs, Aztec-inspired jaguars prowling around him. Priya's silver illusions danced, her lotus pendant gleaming. Jaden stood apart, his red aura dim, struggling to spark a flame after his lake failure. Mara lingered near the courtyard's edge, her violet-white aura too still, her glass dagger glinting as she traced a ward that felt wrong, like a note played off-key. Emrys approached Safa, his gold ash aura restless since the archive's vision of Kael Thar. "You feel that?" he asked, voice low, eyes scanning the sky. "Yeah," Safa replied, her ankh rune pulsing, like the veil's holding its breath. Before Emrys could answer, the ground shook. Runes on the tiles flared red, then shattered like glass. A scream tore through the air, not human, but primal, like a wound in reality. The sky cracked, a jagged tear spilling shadows that writhed into forms, wraith beasts, their bodies liquid black, eyes like burning coal, claws dripping with void. Safa's heart pounded, her grandmother's chants rising unbidden. "Anubis, shield us." "Wards up," Merlin shouted, appearing in a flicker of starry robes, his form glitching like a broken hologram. He raised his staff, a dome of starlight flaring over the courtyard, but it flickered, weak. "The wards are breached." Safa moved first, her hands tracing an anka in the air. Shadows rose from the ground, weaving a barrier thick as desert stone, her grandmother's voice. Chanting through her, "Protect the blood." A wraith beast lunged, its claws slicing her ward, forcing her back. Pain flared in her arm, not a cut, but a cold that burned, like grief made solid. Lena's water shield surged, dousing a beast, but it reformed, snarling. Koa's waves crashed, slowing another, his tide rune blazing. Diego's jaguar glyphs roared, tearing into a beast's flank, golden light spilling like paint. Priya's illusions multiplied, confusing the creatures, her silver aura sharp as a blade. Emrys unleashed a phoenix flame, scorching 2 beasts, but more poured through the tear, endless. Jaden stood frozen, his fire rune dim. "I can't," he started, but a beast lunged at him. Safa dove, her shadow ward shielding him, her arm burning colder. "Move," she snapped. He nodded, sparking a weak flame that faltered. Mara fought with surgical precision, her violet-white ward slicing like glass. But Safa's empathy caught a flicker, her dagger's rune pulsed wrong, dimming the courtyard's defenses. "She's not helping," Safa realized, heart sinking. A memory flashed, Mara tampering with a sigil in the practice chamber, her aura hiding a shadow. "Lena!" Safa shouted, dodging a claw. "The wards! Someone's breaking them!" Lena's eyes widened, her water shield faltering. "Who?" Before Safa could answer, Merlin's dome collapsed. A wraith beast, the largest, its eyes like dying stars, lunged at him. Emrys roared, his phoenix flame surging, driving it back. Merlin chanted, sealing the sky's tear, but his form flickered, fading. "Hold them," he gasped, collapsing to one knee. Safa's ward held, but her arm burned, her aura dimming. She saw her mother's hospital bed, the choice she didn't make. Not again. She chanted louder, her ankh flaring, shadows weaving a cage around the largest beast. It screamed, dissolving into ash. The others retreated, vanishing into the sealed sky. The courtyard fell silent, runes flickering weakly. Lena knelt by Merlin, her hands glowing blue, healing his exhaustion. Koa leaned on Diego, panting, his waves spent. Priya's illusions faded, her aura trembling. Jaden stared at his hands, his fire rune dark. Mara stood apart, her dagger clean, her aura untouched. Safa's arm throbbed, the cold lingering like a curse. She approached Mara, voice low. "Your ward, why didn't it hold?" Mara's eyes narrowed, violet-white aura steady. "I did my part. Maybe your shadows weren't enough." Safa's ankh pulsed, her grandmother's voice sharp. "Traitor." She stepped, back, heart racing. That night, the chosen gathered in the common hall, the hearth's flames dim, reflecting their shaken auras. Lena sat cross-legged, her blue aura soft, bandaging Safa's arm with water magic. "You saved Jaden," she said, voice warm. "That was brave." Safa shrugged, wincing. "Someone had to." Her eyes flicked to Mara, who sharpened her dagger by the window, aura unreadable. Diego tossed a silver fruit to Koa, his golden aura sparking faintly. "Those things were like nightmares with claws," he said, sketching a quick glyph that fizzled. "What broke the wards?" Koa frowned, his tide rune dim. Something got through. Like it was invited, Priya's lotus pendant glowed, her silver aura sharp. The lake, the archive, they all warned us. Something's wrong. Emrys sat by the hearth, his gold ash aura flickering. "Kael'thar's fire felt like that," he said, voice rough, like it wanted to burn everything. Jaden, silent until now, spoke, his red aura dim. I froze. Again. He clenched his fists, the fire rune dark. Safa met his eyes, her voice soft but firm. "You'll get there." Fire needs time. Her own aura steadied, the cold in her arm fading slightly. Lena stood, her water rune glowing. "We're stronger together. Whatever's coming, we face it as one." Across the hall, Mara's dagger reflected a faint rune, a 13th shadow, pulsing once before vanishing. Safa's ankh throbbed, her grandmother's voice whispering, "The wheel turns." Far beyond the veil, in a ruin of forgotten stone, the hollow circle gathered around a black flame. A robed figure spoke. "The wards are weakened. The traitor has done her part." Another replied, "The 13th waits. The spark is ready." The flame flared, and the ruins sang with malice. Chapter 11. The Choice of Sacrifice. Jaden's Point of View. Jaden Reyes had never trusted mirrors, not since he saw his sister Maya reflected in a cracked bathroom glass, her eyes empty, her breath gone. The Vale Academy's trial of mirrors felt like a trap designed for him, a test to rip open wounds he'd buried in Brooklyn's shadows. The chamber, hidden deep in the castle's heart, was a dome of polished obsidian, its walls studded with floating mirrors that hummed like living things. The air smelled of iron and ozone, sharp as a storm's edge. His red rune, a jagged flame on his wrist, flickered weakly, his aura dim since the lake's rejection. He didn't belong here, among chosen with control, with purpose. He was chaos, and chaos always broke things. The 11 other chosen stood in a loose circle, their auras flickering in the mirror light. Lena's soft blue, Koa's sky blue waves, Diego's golden sparks, Priya's sharp silver, Safa's heavy black green. Mara lingered at the edge, her violet-white aura too still, her glass dagger glinting with a cold edge. Emrys stood near the center, his gold ash aura restless since the phoenix's awakening. Jaden's chest tightened, his empathy, raw, untrained, catching a shadow in Mara's gaze, like a predator waiting for prey. Merlin appeared, his starry robes flickering like a dying signal, his form more translucent than ever. "The trial of mirrors demands a choice," he said, voice heavy with centuries. "These mirrors show not just truth, but sacrifice, what you'd give to protect this world. One will face the final test, the rest will witness." The mirrors spun, their surfaces rippling like liquid starlight. Each reflected a vision: Lena's hospital hallway, Priya's burning books, Safa's mother's bed. Jaden's heart pounded. He knew what his would show: Maya, overdosed, him frozen, useless. He'd failed her then, he couldn't fail again. A central mirror, larger than the others, pulsed with a riddle in glowing runes. To seal the door, one must burn. Jaden's rune flared, heat rising in his chest. The mirrors turned, locking on him. "No," he muttered, stepping back. But the floor shifted, pulling him forward. The chosen gasped, their auras flaring, Lena's blue dimming, Diego's gold sparking. "Jaden," Merlin said, voice soft but unyielding. "The flame chooses." Jaden clenched his fists, his red aura flickering like a dying ember. The mirror bloomed, showing Maya, 17, laughing in their Brooklyn apartment, her smile bright as summer. Then the scene shifted. Her on the floor, needle beside her, eyes blank. Jaden's voice in the memory, screaming her name. Too late. The vision changed. Maya alive, standing in a burning city, Kael'thar's blood magic flaring behind her. She turned to Jaden, her voice a whisper. "You can't save me, but you can save them." Tears burned his eyes. "I'm not enough," he whispered. The mirror pulsed, its surface cracking. A phoenix rose from the glass, not Emrys's, but Jaden's, its flames red and chaotic, wrapping around him. Pain seared his chest, not burning but unmaking, like his soul was being rewritten. He saw the veil's future, a sky torn open, wraith beasts flooding through, the chosen falling. And him standing alone, a flame that could seal the door. "I choose it," he said, voice breaking. "I'll burn." The phoenix surged, its wings scorching the air. Jaden's rune blazed, carving a scar across his chest, a phoenix outline, glowing red. The mirror shattered, fragments dissolving into light. The chamber shook, runes on the walls dimming, as if the veil itself exhaled. Jaden fell to his knees, gasping, his aura brighter but heavier, like fire tempered by grief. Lena ran to him, her blue aura soft, hands glowing with water magic to ease his pain. "You did it," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "You're still here." Safa knelt beside him, her black-green aura steady. "That was heroic," she said, voice rough, her ankh rune pulsing. "Don't do it again." Diego approached, his golden aura sparking. "Hombre, you just went full supernova," he said, forcing a grin. "Warn us next time." Koa's sky-blue aura swirled, his tide rune glowing. "You didn't freeze," he said, voice warm. "That's what counts." Priya's silver aura shimmered, her lotus pendant glowing. "The mirror chose you for a reason," she said, voice soft. "You're not your past." Mara stood apart, her violet-white aura unreadable. Jaden's empathy caught a cold flicker, like a blade hidden in her gaze. She'd watched the trial without a word, her dagger reflecting a faint rune, a 13th shadow, gone when he blinked. Merlin knelt beside Jaden, his form flickering. "You've sealed the first door," he said, voice heavy, "but the cost is not yet paid." His eyes held grief, as if he'd made the same choice once. That night, the Chosen gathered in the common hall, the hearth's flames dancing blue and gold. Jaden sat quietly, his phoenix scar pulsing under his shirt, a reminder of Maya's voice. Lena sat beside him, sketching water runes in the air, her aura steadying his. "You're not alone," she said, voice firm. "We're in this together." Diego tossed a silver fruit to Koa, who caught it with a grin. "Jaden's a fire god now," Diego said, sketching a quick glyph that sparked gold. "Gotta keep up, brada." Koa chuckled, his tide rune glowing. "Bet he burns the breakfast next." Priya smiled, her lotus pendant shimmering. "The mirror showed strength, Jaden." You listened. Safa lingered by the window, her black-green aura heavy. She whispered a chant to Anubis, her candle flaring black, then clear. Her grandmother's voice echoed. "The spark is lit." Her eyes flicked to Mara, who sharpened her glass dagger across the hall, aura steady. Safa's ankh pulsed, a warning. Emrys sat by the hearth, his gold ash aura flickering. "Your fire felt like mine," he said to Jaden, voice low, "like Kael'thar's." Jaden met his gaze, his scar pulsing. "I'm not him," he said, voice steady for the first time. Far beyond the veil, in a ruin of forgotten stone, the hollow circle gathered around a black flame. A robed figure spoke. "The boy has chosen. The door is sealed." Another replied, "The traitor moves." The 13th stirs. The flame flared, and the ruins whispered with malice. Chapter 12. The sealed door, Jaden's point of view. Jaden Reyes felt the weight of his phoenix scar like a brand on his chest, a red-hot reminder of the choice he'd made in the trial of mirrors. The Vale Academy's deepest chamber, the vault of the sealed door, was colder than the Brooklyn streets he'd grown up on, its air thick with the scent of ancient stone and starlight, like a cathedral buried in a nebula. The walls were obsidian, carved with runes that pulsed like dying stars, their light flickering in time with his heartbeat. His red rune, a jagged flame on his wrist, burned steadily now, his aura brighter but heavier, tempered by the memory of his sister, Maya, and the sacrifice he'd vowed to carry. The 12 chosen stood in a tense circle, their auras casting a kaleidoscope of light. Lena's soft blue, Koa's sky blue waves, Diego's golden sparks, Priya's sharp silver, Safa's heavy black-green, Emrys's gold ash flicker. Mara lingered at the edge, her violet-white aura too still, her glass dagger glinting with a cold edge Jaden couldn't trust. His empathy, sharpened by pain, caught a shadow in her, like a storm waiting to break. The wraith beast attack, Mara's tampered ward, the whispers of the hollow circle. They all pointed to betrayal, but he couldn't name it yet. Merlin stood before the sealed door, a massive slab of star-flecked obsidian, its surface etched with a riddle in glowing runes. 12 are called, but one must open. His starry robes flickered, his form more translucent than ever, like a ghost clinging to existence. "This door guards the Vale's heart," he said, voice resonant but strained, heavy with centuries. "It opens only for the chosen who have faced themselves. But beware, what lies beyond may change everything." Jaden's scar pulsed, Maya's voice echoing. "You can save them." He stepped forward, heart pounding. "I'll do it," he said, voice steady despite the fear clawing his chest. Lena's eyes widened, her blue. Aura dimming. Safa's Ankh rune pulsed, her black-green aura heavy with warning. Merlin's gaze softened, heavy with grief. "The door demands truth," he said. "Speak yours." Jaden faced the slab, its runes flaring red. He saw Maya's smile, her overdose, his failure, but also his choice in the mirrors, to burn for others. "I'm not my mistakes," he said, voice breaking. "I'm fire, not chaos. I choose to protect." The door trembled, runes blazing. A crack of light split its surface, not breaking but unfolding, like reality peeling open. A wave of starlight poured out, warm and alive, smelling of ozone and eternity. The chamber dissolved, and Jaden fell, not downward but inward, into a dimension of endless stars, constellations swirling like a cosmic dance. The Chosen appeared beside him, their auras flaring, Lena's blue waves, Diego's golden sparks, Koa's sky-blue tide. At the center stood a figure, not Merlin, not Kael'thar, but a woman, her hair a nebula of violet and silver, her eyes like twin galaxies. Her aura was infinite, a storm of light and shadow, her rune a spiral of stars on her chest. The 13th. Her voice echoed, not in their ears, but their bones. "I am the one left behind." The original, the Veil's heart. Jaden's scar burned, his red aura flaring. "There's only 12 of us," he said, voice shaking. "Who are you?" She smiled, sad and ancient. Merlin thought he could rewrite fate. 12 were chosen, but I was the first. Betrayed. Sealed. Her eyes swept the group, lingering on Mara, whose violet-white aura flickered just once. The wheel turns. The hollow circle rises. Lena stepped forward, her water rune glowing. "Why hide you?" she demanded, voice steady. "Why lie?" The 13th's gaze softened. Not a lie. A hope. Merlin believed 12 could hold the veil. But I am its fracture. She raised a hand, and the stars shifted, showing a vision. Kael'thar's burning city, the 13th singing, her power cracking the earth to stop him. "I was too much," she said, "so he sealed me here." Safa's Ankh pulsed, her grandmother's voice whispering. "The spark is lit." "You're not our enemy," she said, voice firm. "But someone is." Mara's dagger glinted, her aura steady. Jaden's empathy caught a cold edge, like a blade drawn in silence. "Mara," he said, voice low. "You knew." Her eyes met his, unreadable. "You see too much, Fireboy," she said, voice flat. She stepped back, her ward flaring violet-white, shielding her as she vanished into a ripple of starlight. The 13th's aura flared, a storm of rage and grief. "The traitor walks among you," she said. "The hollow circle has her, and they come for me." The dimension trembled, stars collapsing inward. Merlin appeared, his form fading, his voice urgent. "Return. The veil is breaking." He raised his staff, and the stars dissolved, pulling the Chosen back to the vault. The door sealed shut, its runes dimming, but a faint 13th rune pulsed in the obsidian, then faded. The Chosen collapsed, gasping, their auras flickering. Jaden's scar burned, his red aura steady but heavy. Lena knelt beside him, her blue aura soft, hands glowing with water magic to ease his pain. "You opened it," she whispered. "You're still here." Safa's black-green aura flared, her Ankh pulsing. "Mara's gone," she said, voice sharp. "She's with them." Diego's golden aura sparked, his jaguar glyph fading. "Hombre, she played us," he said, voice tight. "What now?" Koa's sky-blue aura swirled, his tide rune glowing. "We fight," he said, voice steady. "Together." Priya's silver aura shimmered, her lotus pendant glowing. "The 13th? She's not evil," she said, voice soft. "She's us." Emrys's gold ash aura flickered, his eyes on the door. "She's the key," he said, voice low. "And Kael'thar's echo is in me." Jaden stood, his scar pulsing. "Then we find Mara. Stop the hollow circle. Save the veil." His voice was fire, not chaos, for the first time. That night, the Chosen gathered in the common hall, the hearth's flames dim, reflecting their shaken auras. Lena sat beside Jaden, sketching water runes, her aura steadying his. "We're a team," she said, voice firm. "No matter what." Diego tossed a silver fruit to Koa, his grin shaky. "Fireboy's leading now?" he teased. "Better not burn the castle?" Koa chuckled, his tide rune glowing. "Long as he doesn't burn me, we're good." Priya smiled, her lotus pendant shimmering. "The 13th's out there. We'll find her." Safa whispered a chant to Anubis, her candle flaring black, then clear. Her grandmother's voice echoed. The wheel turns. A rune flickered on the hearth, a 13th shadow, pulsing with a promise. Far beyond the veil, in a ruin of forgotten stone, the hollow circle gathered around a black flame. Mara knelt, her violet-white aura dim. "The door is open," she said, voice cold. "The 13th is free." A robed figure smiled. "The spark is lit. The veil will fall." The flame roared, and the stars above trembled. The end.